There is the very obvious big one that came out via Towley.
Yes.
Which I sort of feel like doing. And you know, it's funny. My initial reaction to this was, damn, dudes.
Yep.
Dudes said that publicly.
Yeah, I can actually play it if you give us one second.
Roll.
I'll play this for you. So this is don't crucify me if the audio levels are off. They should be fine. But here's what he says.
You know, we just witnessed BlizzCon. Shadowlands is behind, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, Shadowlands is behind. 9.1, we might not see that till August. I asked someone over there, hey, how's, PTR looking for, 9.1? I got a shrug. How's June looking for 9.1 release? And literally was told June would be optimistic if 9.1 came out. So yeah, folks, buckle your seatbelts. We're in for a ride of Castle Nathria.
I don't know, Tally. I mean, do we need to buckle our seatbelts if we're not going anywhere? I mean, certainly props to Towley for coming out and saying that. Yeah, it's like I was surprised that Towley kind of went out and said that. I hope that his, whoever his mates are at Blizzard don't get any kickback for that.
Yep.
But it's the sort of thing where I really do appreciate the candidness and the honesty there. And it's worth saying as well, if this information came from a source that people thought was, a WoW hater.
Yeah, had skin in the game.
Then you'd take it with less credibility. But I think it's the start of this video, not Tally. I say it because he mentions Tally. But Towley says, blah, 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 I'm a shill. I'm up there with Taliesin and Avatel. So basically, it was just a dude saying, like, look, I'm more on Team Blizzard more of the time.
Yeah.
And I just think that means that whenever somebody is more like that and they're, going out and saying this stuff, I generally take that as more authentic, right?
Yeah. It's for him to say that, it's like,
Yeah, because this is not a boy who cried wolf sort of situation. And if it was if this came via some channel, you looked at their history and it was like all just, I don't know, it was just 100% WoW vitriol, then you obviously wouldn't put too much stock in it. But I really do think that, the Towley's coming out and being honest here, which I think we all do really appreciate a lot. Tough old pill to swallow, though.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, where do we even want to begin talking about this?
Oh, man, it's hard. It's hard to say.
Yeah, because we've got, first of all, to be fair, I was going to say, where's PTR? But TBC Beta, I guess they'll want to keep the headlines a little bit. But it's so brutal because, what you were saying in that struggling video, PTR is 2.5 months?
Yeah.
PTR is usually 2.5 months before a patch. If June's optimistic, and they're being realistic with PTR, that means we'll have PTR, or that means PTR should be expected mid-April.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the, for one of the videos we put up yesterday, John had a graphic of the comparative releases. And, it was really, I just liked how he represented it, and it was very funny because I was assuming more of a early July at the latest, June probably. That was my opinion when making that video. And I'm just imagining, what would that graph that John put together for that video, what would that look like if we used August? Because by the time it's August, I remember, I've worked this out for the WoW News episode that comes out tomorrow. If this patch came out July 14th, it would be 233 days after X-Pack launch. Brutal. Absolutely bloody brutal. And, it's one of those things, I really don't think Towley's making that up. And, I know that he's really tight with Blizzard people, from what I understand. So I don't think he's making that stuff up. I think he honestly does mean that. And, note that he said that June was optimistic, and whenever he was saying something, he said August.
I hate laughing about it, but it's mostly due to shock, to be honest.
Absolute fucking travesty.
Yeah.
Now, it's not purely Blizz's fault.
Of course.
I do think, and this is something I've been more willing to say as time's went on, I do think it's in large part Blizzard's fault, though.
Yeah.
Because I as many of you know, I have fundamental disagreements with how they develop aspects of the game. I think that they do not put anywhere near enough time into content, and they seem to just spin their wheels endlessly thinking about stupid systemic wrappers for that content that's basically just trying to hoodwink and bribe people into playing shit they don't want to do. Right? Like, as I said in the past, imagine if Torghast had nothing to do with Soul Ash, then maybe it could be fun, because it would just be its own game feature that could be developed in isolation as its own thing to be really good. You know? Looking at, conduits and stuff. It's like, did we need to go through all of that iteration in beta? Was that in fact just a humongous, colossal waste of time? Covenants. Blizzard think they're the coolest shit in the universe. I don't think there's really that many players that think Covenants are as cool as Blizzard does.
No.
I remember the press kits we got. They sent us these Covenant canvases, which were just icons for the Covenant on a canvas. And whenever we got them, we just looked at each other completely baffled, being like, what is this? It's like they tried to make it so cool that it ended up being way less cool than just Aldor or Scryer. Because Aldor or Scryer just felt like a natural thing in a city we visited instead of a very, very very forced feeling thing. But it's just that thing. If this was an expansion just thinking, how do we get lots of content to the players? Would we have us doing a bunch of conduits and basically wasting so much time in beta? I mean, I remember doing the interview. And in the interview I was doing, I was getting all of the regular, defenses for consumable conduits, which obviously I thought were dumb. Then
Of course.
the conversation happens with Mike, with Breach.
Yep.
And then they change the design of conduits. And then they do conduit energy. And then we have to go through the same thing with Torghast Torments. All because of these stupid balance concerns that anybody who's just thinking, oh, this is an MMO, so it's all about player experience. And for something like Torghast, I mean, the balance doesn't matter too much. But, we were sitting there talking about balancing the usage of cooldowns because of Torments. Which were initially going to be these just, stacking things that would prevent you from, because the worst thing in the world, our players could wait for their cooldowns. And I just think, man, how much time did we waste having all of these pointless conversations that, were just so bloody obvious so much in advance. And that is to say that I think that, I don't know why Blizzard have over time just decided that World of Warcraft has, every single thing they do has to fit in some sort of systemic box. Maybe that's why the second something is not forced into a systemic box, it's cool.
Yeah.
Deaths of Chromie and all those little things that are cool purely because they're not a part of anything else.
Yeah.
It's just someone's like, oh, I'm passionate about this thing, let's go do it. They do it. They're like, oh, cool, that's cool. That's it. Job's goddamn good. So that is all to say that I think they develop the game in a way where there's a lot of dependencies. One thing goes off, destroys something else. The mall's not very fun, but that's where you got to get your sockets and your conduit leveling from. And now, for some reason, your raiding and Mythic Plus experience is less enjoyable because they've forced you into the mall. All of this stuff, it's like there's so many dependencies. It all feels very complex and not that intuitive. And just over-designed. And I have to wonder, is just this thing of the game feeling so over-designed, is that why they seem to just trip over themselves all the time and fall behind schedule all the time?
Probably.
Back when we had Legion, it was just 77 days. New patch.
Yep.
And then BFA comes. And BFA tries to make Azerite armor. God's chosen, the thing from on high, this one gearing system that would inside it capture glyphs, make gearing more fun, not have Titan forging people. And we're like, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
You could have just kept the gear simple. Because if they just shipped BFA with boring gear, they maybe wouldn't have been forced to do essences for patch 8.2. And to do all of those things that were designed to fix the problems of launch for 8.2 of the essences, 8.1 for a whole bunch of immediate firefighting. Maybe they wouldn't have had legions of players screaming at them about reforging, Azerite reforging, that is.
Yeah.
So my honest to God opinion here is just that it's just these things that are so damn complex, perhaps needlessly complex, and that just means that they have to sweat so many details.
Yeah.
And I just have to wonder, is there a more simple way of developing this game that is
Yes.
a lot more just optimized towards getting content out for players?